Hello everyone, my name is Sick and welcome back to Groundbranch. Now in the past I tended to make a video for new blog posts or big updates coming out for Groundbranch. But recently I've stopped putting out new videos altogether. Life and other projects kinda got in the way and my computer was not really up to snuff anymore either. But I got a new PC just a few days ago and the itch to play is back. By now it's too late to report on all the new things in the patch, since it's months old at the time I'm recording this, so I won't be doing that. Instead, today I will be telling you why I think that the oil rig map in the current version is the absolute peak of Groundbranch so far. I have played Groundbranch since I could get my hands on it, and I've taken a lot of breaks in that time as well. Often dipping back in for new updates and content, as we are all wont to do. After all, there are only so many maps in the game right now, and playing every day can get a little bit stale because enemy placement becomes quite predictable over time, despite their random placement, and pre-1034 the AI could often come running at you from multiple places, leaving parts of the map empty. And that is one of the major things for me in patch 1034. The AI is much more evenly divided between hunting the player down and defending locations. This does affect all maps of course, but none share the elevational element that makes Rig stand out. The effect is less pronounced in other maps because the enemy can generally only be found in a 360-degree circle around you, and the placement of their spawns and the angles at which they can approach you are more limited. But not Oil Rig, with its 4 different floors. Multiple elevations require you to communicate with your team members much more frequently. Threats can be above or below, as well as to the right or left, front or back. Other maps mostly take place on one elevation, or occasionally add a higher elevation but in easily recognizable places, like the power station and its sniper perch, or buildings with only a second floor and a few windows, or the guard towers that can be found on depot. With spawns being spread out among those 4 floors, hostiles guarding locations, patrolling or actively hunting the player down, threats can come from a much wider variety of places, and the chance of unexpected encounters goes way up. Not only that, but the maze-like nature of the map allows for multiple approaches, backing up or flanking sideways, or even flanking from above or below sometimes. And on top of that, huge amounts of visual clutter keep the player on edge, because spotting a tango is much more difficult when he's obscured by the enormous amounts of pipes, gantries, walkways, pallets, chairs, tables, massive cable rolls, and on and on. It is a very visually complex map that makes it much harder to spot the enemy before they spot you. Speaking of which, the AI detection was also overhauled in patch 1034, and in my opinion it has become a lot more fair. There are far fewer instances of the AI seeing you through things they shouldn't, or where they should have had a hard time. Even a map like Creek, which is composed almost entirely of foliage, now gives you a fighting chance. But back to the oil rig. Groundbranch's goal has always been to marry the best elements of the original Rainbow Six and the original Ghost Recon. And if you haven't played those, then the essentials are this. Rainbow Six was focused on urban and close quarters combat fighting, whereas Ghost Recon focused a lot more on the outdoors. Both struggled to make combat in the other area play well. Rogue Spear is hell in the jungle and Ghost Recon was hell indoors. But Groundbranch, with its unique modern mechanics, excels at both. And so does Oil Rig, despite there not being a tree in sight. On Oil Rig, you'll navigate extremely tight corridors as living space comes at a premium here. You'll have to engage in very close quarters combat, making shorter weapons with unzoomed sights better. Sometimes you're even better off switching to a pistol. At the same time, long sightlines across decks and sometimes even multiple decks allow for weapons with zoomed optics to have their place without being overpowered, and even a risk if you have nobody to cover you. The design of Oil Rig exemplifies the mechanics Groundbranch marries so well. All that said though, I would recommend playing with trained AI, as they have a higher chance of coming at you, which means you can't ever quite know if you're safe. They'll keep you on your toes a lot more. When you combine all of these things, you end up with the one map in Groundbranch that feels continuously threatening throughout multiple playthroughs, and is probably the best map in the game for me right now. Having seen almost every playable build of Groundbranch so far, I feel confident to say this is the best the game has ever been for me personally, and I look forward to seeing more similarly complex maps in the future, as well as more AI tweaks and improvements, of course. I know there is more complex behavior planned for the future, but as for right now, I think the AI is quite well balanced, and they're the most fun to fight out of all the builds so far. And though this is not new behavior, a small group of hostiles now gets clustered around the objective as well, making for a more climactic fight. In addition, other hostiles will get sent to the extraction point if you pick up the intel, moving them through locations you might not see them in otherwise, and if you're slow enough, another little fun fight awaits you around the extraction point. I would recommend playing a mode with an actual objective like intel retrieval and not terrorist hunt on this absolute maze of a map, allowing you to focus more on the tactics required rather than checking every little nook and cranny in this behemoth. These two mechanics tie in very nicely with the recent AI overhaul to make for a much nicer flow to intel retrieval. Though, if I may end the video with a note of criticism, I still long to see a wider variety of spawn locations. There are still plenty of locations in most maps that I know not to look into, because nobody's ever there. There is still a lot of wasted potential in these maps that should not be too hard to fill in. I personally long for a time when I need to meticulously scan every nook and cranny of every map, not ever feeling safe enough to just push on without looking, as I tend to do now sometimes. Though at least, thankfully, Ulrig lets me get away with that much less now. And with that, I want to thank you for watching this all the way to the end. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you for whatever video comes next.